Dear comrades and friends, I'm very pleased to take part in this truly international MayDay rally, which signifies a new stage in the global struggle against war and militarism. And I apologize for my very bad English. Comrade Chris has already referred to the dramatic events in Ukraine. The attack on the trade union headquarters in Odessa took place on May 2nd, the anniversary of the raid carried out by the Nazi thugs 1933 against the trade unions in Germany. The attack is an indictment of the governments in Berlin and Washington and the EU institutions in Brussels. It contradicts their lies about democracy and freedom. It makes clear that for everybody that these governments, which emphasize their democratic character at every opportunity, collaborate with fascists. The dramatic war developments in the Ukraine are directly related to the revival of German militarism. It's being used to press ahead with a systematic build-up of the German army and the state in Germany. Earlier this year, the German government announced that its previous policy of military restraint is over. In future, Germany will, I quote, intervene more decisively and more substantially in the international crisis regions. Workers around the world should take note. The return of German militarism is a fundamental change and opens a new stage of aggressive imperialist confrontation. The end of German military restraint is linked to a massive campaign of warmongering in the media. One has the impression that Hitler's propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels has risen from his dead or his grave and taken over leadership of the press office in Berlin. The big media corporations and their lackeys, I think you call it scribblers, agitate against so-called Russia appeasers and demand more tanks, more soldiers to combat Russia expansion. They play down the cooperation with fascists in Kiev and demand that Germany carry a stun gun in its pocket to build up its military if it wants to be heard across the globe. The battle cry in the media is so loud and aggressive because the rejection of fascism, militarism and war runs so deep in the population in Germany and Europe. The newspapers and broadcasters are receiving sackloads of protest letters from angry readers. Millions of people are stunned and shocked. Who would have thought that all this militarism, fascism, war is coming back? The monstrous crimes of the Nazis and the German army left a deep imprint on the public consciousness. The demand, not again, no more wars, no more fascism, has influenced generations. Not only Germany, the imperialist countries, the imperialist governments in England, the US, France, and other countries also committed war crimes. But what has taken place here in Germany has a different order, much worse and much more brutal. Hitler's Wehrmacht and the SS death squads organized a war of extermination and systematic genocide in the East. 6 million Jews, hundreds of thousands of Roma, Sinti, prisoners and prisoners of war, and many others were systematically murdered in the Nazi death camps. At the trade union school in the 1960s, I saw a documentary film called Ordinary Fascism. It showed footage of the liberation of the concentration camps. Mountains of corpses were simply bulldozed into mass graves. Starving people resembling skeletons. The destruction of human beings was organized on an industrial scale. There were huge piles of woman hair, piles of children's shoes, lamp sheds were made from the skin of the corpse. All of this was documented in the film. In order to understand this monstrous relapse into the barbarism, the writings of Trotsky were and are of great importance. Trotsky showed that Hitler could come to power because the Stalinist policy of social fascism had divided the working class. Under Stalin's influence, the German Communist Party called the Social Democrats social fascist and refused to undertake any joint action against the Nazis. Trotsky fought tirelessly to overcome the division of the labor movement and to mobilize the working class on the basis of an international socialist program. When we founded the Bund Sozialistischer Arbeit, the League of Socialist Workers, the pre-runner of the Partei für Soziale Gleichheit, in autumn of 1971, we based ourselves on these political lessons. We were determined to prevent a repeat of war and fascism at all costs. Today, these questions are once again of vital significance. German imperialism is again showing its true historical character. Even the very areas, regions in which Germany now seeks to dominate are the same as in the past. Again, it is the expansion to the east. Again, it is the Ukraine. German governments have tried 2 times in the last century to bring the Ukraine under German military control, committing terrible crimes against the civilian population by doing so. The return of German imperialism and militarism takes the form of a real conspiracy against the population. The SPD has taken the leadership, the role of a rebel rouser. It is celebrating its 100th anniversary of its support for the First World War with an evil warmongering against Russia. This warmongering of the SPD is only surpassed by the Greens. The Greens, former pacifist, fully support the interest of German imperialism and bang the drums for German army missions and wars in the name of human rights and humanity. We used to have arguments, heated arguments, with the pacifists in the past when they had big peace demonstrations. They completely rejected the working class and a socialist perspective. In the meantime, the protesting sons and daughters of the bourgeoisie have turned home to their families and won influential posts in business and politics. The former pacifists have become the most ardent patriots and supporters of war. The German Left Party was only pacifist as long as German imperialism behaved in a pacifist manner. At the very moment in which German militarism is preparing to return to the world stage, the German Left Party has cast off its pacifist grab and has lined up behind the so-called humanitarian war propaganda of the Greens. In early April, 5 parliamentarian deputies of the Left Party voted for the first time for a foreign intervention of German army, signaling to the ruling elite that they are supporting the new war policy. The PSG is literally the only party in Germany which opposes the return to German militarism and war preparations. Together with the FDP in the UK, we have placed the opposition to militarism and war at the heart of the European election campaign. We combine the struggle against war with the struggle against its cause, capitalism. There is only one social force that can stop the development of war, the international working class in a struggle for a socialist program. This is the great lesson of the past class struggles. It is an historical fact which nobody can deny. The First World War was ended not least by the conquest of power by the Bolsheviks, that is, by the Russian Revolution. When the extension of this revolution throughout Europe and the world was suppressed, fascist terror and the Second World War became inevitable. Just like 100 years ago, the acute danger of war places the struggle for a revolution on the agenda. If the ruling elite believes they can impose a return of militarism and war with a few decisions in the Chancellery, some speeches by the President, and numerous war-mongering articles in the media, they are very wrong. There is a party that is not intimidated, a party that has learned the lesson of history and prepared the working class for the coming class struggles. That is the big difference. 100 years ago, the SPD and the Second International collapsed after assuming an opportunistic degeneration years earlier. Today, our party wins influence. A party that fought for decades under difficult conditions, but never gave up their struggle for an international socialist program and assembled a powerful international cadre in that process. This international MayDay rally shows the strength and political authority of our movement. We therefore look forward to the future with great confidence and optimism. Thank you, comrades.